What up, YouTube? Nate here from thriftdweller, and today on the channel I've picked up a new hobby. Cards. Not baseball cards. This is just here for set decoration. Magic the Gathering. In awe, people. In awe. I actually already shot this video once from my phone, and it turned out like garbage. I'm never shooting videos from my phone again. So I did rob you guys of the unboxing experience, but I will show you how it looked over here. So clearly you can see me taking it out of the packaging. Fragile. These packages are fragile. But I wanted to talk about it today here on the channel. Talk about why I got into it, how I got into it, and all that jazz. So basically, the times that we're living in. Sorry, I'm making a lot of noise. The times that we're living in. COVID times, social isolation times. I just had a lot of time to watch YouTube. I'll admit my workouts have not been that great. However, my YouTube watching really has gone up, so I'm happy about that. I actually used to play Magic back in the late 2000s, so around Time Spiral block, Planar Chaos block for people who know what I'm talking about. That makes sense for people who don't. Just enjoy the ride and look at some Magic cards with me. I decided, because the markets being the way they are now today, I thought it was a better time now than ever to get into Magic the Gathering, especially because the prices have been so crazy. People are calling Magic the Gathering investment grade type collectible. I don't necessarily agree with that, but people say that. The sentiment is out there, so I'm just perpetuating something I don't believe in. Moving on. I picked these up, majority of these from eBay. I wanted to unbox them for you guys and share the experience with you. However, yes, my phone camera sucks. Nate has a horrible phone. Horrible phone. But I still wanted to share it with everybody and talk about Magic the Gathering. I made a list of kind of the type of cards and specific cards that I want to get, type of Magic the Gathering product I want to get. So I had to get up and get something. It started with this guy, I'll say. Sorry, I hope it's focusing. This is called Secret Lair Drop Series. Magic the Gathering, the company that I guess produces it's called Wizards of the Coasts. They usually produce, like, I don't know, booster packs and whatever packages that you buy at the store or whatever. They've really never released single cards until now, because they see how profitable it is. And when I saw this booster pack, I'll show a picture of the cards that came in here. I'm keeping this factory sealed because, like I talk about with Noah, that's where I am in my collecting. I look at the exit strategy. I'm just happy to have this. But yes, the cards in there are beautiful. And this is kind of like what got me back into thinking about Magic the Gathering a lot, because I appreciated the art here so much from this LA artist. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but her take on Serum Visions was outstanding. So then I thought, why not collect art from the cards that, you know, meant something to me, art that I loved from Magic the Gathering, because one of the defining characteristics of this card game, to me anyways, is the art. So I went on a mission, or I started a mission, this is me dipping my toes into it, of picking up cards that I think have beautiful art in them from artists that I appreciate, and cards that I played with and meant something to me back in the day. Good thing about the cards that meant something to me was they're not really that expensive. I was always cheap playing Magic the Gathering. I thought it was really corny to pick up expensive cards and just, you know, beat opponents with expensive cards. That's not fun. That's not cool. So, I'll go over the eBay stuff in a minute, but I wanted to share this. You know, around the same time I got this Secret Lair drop, I pulled this card out of a... because I was supposed to, you know, draft, which is just a different way of playing Magic the Gathering with factory seal packs. I was supposed to draft with some friends, but I have a social isolation hit, and I just couldn't leave these packs sealed in anticipation of when we'll play again. Who knows? Probably never. I opened the packs, and I pulled a Fabled Passage. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, like I said, just enjoy the ride. But for people who do appreciate cardboard collectibles like Magic the Gathering, this has turned into one of my favorite fetch lands right now. Mainly because it's affordable. It's not like those, I don't know how much shock lands are going for. Literally, for people who don't know, one card, $100. It's not crazy to think about that. You can have a deck with one card that costs you $100, because to you that gives you the advantage. For me, I like to have the cheap cards. And this is like a cheap version of those $100 cards. I think this one's only worth about like $10 right now. But I play Magic the Gathering online without the paper, and I always run this card in my decks. This is really the card that kind of got me back into Magic the Gathering. This is from the Throne of Eldraine expansion set from Magic the Gathering. This is Lovestruck Beast. It's the foil showcase version of this card. And to me, this really captures the entire theme of the Throne of Eldraine set. You know, it's a beautiful storybook design. Obviously, one of my favorite movies is Beauty and the Beast. And to see Beauty and the Beast inside, like, Magic the Gathering, to me was fantastic. So I looked for this card. It wasn't that expensive. Like I said, showcased art, showcased foil, I should say, rare. Obviously, near mint condition, pack fresh. I picked this up for like $4. Look at that, beautiful, just stunning. The foil on here is nice. I don't know what you call that, foil work, foil application on this. I think it's a beautiful card. I love it. And again, the first card that kind of got me back into Magic the Gathering, I picked this up. $4 loose. And I found this. Picked this up out of a cheap bin from the local game store. Silver Skin Armor. This is one of my favorite artists in Magic the Gathering, Therese Nielsen. If you don't know her, look up her art. It's gorgeous. This is like her, later on in her art. You know, very rudimentary, I guess, in the original Magic the Gathering. But as the series went on and as her art developed, you can see she started using a lot of these geometric shapes here. And I've always loved the art of this card. Therese Nielsen. And like I said, I do have goals to collect specific artists that I like. But aside just from the cards, one of my goals is to get original artwork from those artists as well. And that is actually attainable. I can do that. If I play my cards right and I save up a lot of money, I can get original art. And one of the things I want to get into collecting more than Magic the Gathering is art. I love art. Always been somewhat of an artist. But let's get into the eBay sales. Like I said, I got into Magic the Gathering during the Time Spiral block. And this card, Harmonic Sliver, was a staple. For people who don't know, slivers are like, I don't know exactly what they are, creatures in Magic the Gathering. And they're one of my favorite tribes to run. Leave it at that. From the Time Spiral block, I don't know, it looks beautiful. Love it. $4. I thought, why not for a foil card? And a rare, I didn't know she was re-released, but like this card hits multiple strings with me. It plucks multiple chords in my heartstrings. Elvish Piper I picked up for, I think, $16 shipped. 4 copies of her. Now this is a card I used to run in my elf decks, another tribe that I was always fond of. I love the art on this card. Artist credit goes to Rebecca Guay. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. Her art to me is very definitive in Magic the Gathering. She's very popular in the community, and for a good reason. Her art is beautiful. I love it, and one of my goals is to get an original Rebecca Guay art piece. I hope I'm saying her last name right. I feel bad because I love her art, but I don't know how to say her name. Elvish Piper is a fun card as well. One of the things I love doing in Magic is to cheat in big characters in play, and this one lets you play from your hand any size character for 1 green mana. So I picked up 4 of her because, the card meant something to me. I picked up a bunch of these top loaders from Walmart back in the day, like before our whole COVID outbreak, so I finally get to use them. But, they're great for Magic the Gathering cards. But what was popular in like the late 2000s, sorry, this is a sidebar, was art cards. You get artists to draw cards when they, visit them at conventions. Yannick Paquette, he was I think his most notable series was like that Batman one where Batman fought dinosaurs and shit. I wasn't into that. I liked his art on, he did Wolverine Origins. He did a run with, I think it was like Wolverine versus Deadpool versus Dakin, Wolverine's son. And I appreciated his art in that. So I asked him to draw this for me back in 2010. Ronnie Ramos. Ian's very jealous of this card. Ronnie Ramos was the inker from Transmetropolitan. Funny thing was, when I met him at the comic convention, I didn't even know who he was. And I said, hey man, can you draw this for me? Guy was so nice. I think he drew this for me for a can of Red Bull. So I'm, Transmetropolitan, you heard Ian say in the podcast, one of his favorite graphic novels of all time. A little bit of a lesser known artist. Chenner, I think I bought him lunch for this. He drew this for me. And some local artist was selling his own art cards there for like $2. This is Borat. I don't know why I bought it. He didn't even sign it, jerk. Anyways, back to Magic the Gathering. Main auction that I purchased these graded cards from. One of the problems with being a Canadian fan of Magic the Gathering and trying to collect graded Magic the Gathering cards is that up here in Canada, there isn't many of these. Costs so much to send your cards out to get graded because of the exchange rate and shipping. Shipping really kills us up here. So when I saw an auction from a Canadian seller for graded Magic the Gathering cards, I was like, finally, we have the advantage. And a lot of the American people who may be bidding might be turned off because of the higher shipping costs. To me, I could take advantage of it, and I did. And I gotta put these cards in the back because those are more important to me. But anyways, from the Fragile packages, one of my goals is to get a vintage Gem Mint 10 graded Magic the Gathering cards. I got it. I want to say this is Tatiana's song, but if you look at the way they spell the name, it's like Tidiania? I don't know. Anyways, I think she's uncommon. I'm not sure, but again, one of the person had multiple. He had like, I would say 30 graded cards, and this is what I pulled from him. And they all ended within like 5 minutes of each other, so you didn't know which cards which ones you're gonna lose. I put a max bid on this one, and no one outbid me. I think I put like 15 bucks, which I thought for a Gem Mint vintage Magic the Gathering card, that was not bad. I'm not too familiar with like the crossover PSA to, let's see, this is Beckett. There's two different grading companies. I know, like, I think a 10 here equals a 9.5 on Beckett. So, whatever. It still looks cool to have a 10, right? One of my favorite Magic the Gathering cards from when I was playing Magic was Channel. I just love the art on this. Like, look at the art on that. Super definitive of the time. I know people who maybe aren't in the Magic the Gathering world may look at this art and go like, what the hell is that? Very rudimentary art. But to people who are in the know, people who appreciate the game, to them, this is iconic art. This is definitive art. It's very relevant to them. So, I appreciate it. I love it. I think it looks beautiful to me. Channel. 1994. Revised. Gem Mint 10. Beautiful. I think I picked that one up for like 15 bucks. Really cheap. One of my other goals is to get a graded near mint or mint uncommon card. So when I saw this one, I think I put a max bid of this one 25 bucks plus shipping. And I got it. Animate Artifact from 1993 Unlimited. This was, I guess you could say, the third set of Magic the Gathering cards to come out, I believe. First was like Alpha, Beta, and then Unlimited. So you look at it, Quad 9, I guess you could say. The thing about Beckett, you can see here compared to PSA, they just give you one grade. Beckett, I think the reason people are preferring them is because they start putting these subgrades on them, and then they use that to give you the overall grade. I think people are really gravitating towards that. But to me, I'm early in this. That doesn't matter to me. These cards are really inexpensive. But anyways, cross that off my list. Animate Artifact. Now this card, when I was playing Magic the Gathering, one of my favorite, I guess, recurring characters in this universe of MTG. I'm going to call it MTG. I hate saying Magic the Gathering. One of the recurring characters that I really was drawn to was this character called Stuffy Doll. And if you look here, this card is called the Rack, and on the rack you see that Stuffy Doll. I'll just say this gave you a unique way for your opponent to lose life. We'll leave it at that. But anyways, Gem Mint 10, which I thought was, outstanding. 1994 vintage card. So this hit 2 points for me, right? A card that meant something to me, and Gem Mint 10. Love that. Another card that I saw a lot, I necessarily didn't make decks out of, but my friend Rap played this a lot. Vintage, a Mint 9 from PSA from 94. Meekstone, I believe this is a rare card as well. Just for me personally, personal relevance and iconic to me card. Maybe not in Magic the Gathering overall as a whole, but to me it has, iconic relevance. One of my goals was to get a graded rare vintage Magic the Gathering MTG card. And this officially is my first, was my first rare. I know there's other rares that are graded in here, but my first, very vintage, 93, the first year Magic came out, Volcanic Eruption. This one had a grade of 9 from Beckett. And I remember this one, I said, I just want to get a rare card when I was bidding, so I put my max bid up for this, and it didn't even reach my max bid for this. So I guess not a lot of people wanted it, but for me, I just wanted to get my get in the game of Magic the Gathering, have a rare vintage card that was graded mint, and I got it. Here you go. I think this one was like 34 bucks with shipping. Canadian, by the way. All the prices I'm mentioning are Canadian. But this, to me, ba-da-bomb. This was the most important cards for me to get. They're not rare cards. These are commons, for Magic the Gathering. But, like I said, I only played Magic the Gathering in the late 2000s. But My first exposure to Magic the Gathering was in Winnipeg in the early 90s. Magic was actually really popular here. And I have memories of my mom taking me to the comic book store. And they were selling single cards, not just the packages that these came in randomly. They were selling the singles at the comic book store. And like, I didn't know what this game was. I just saw a bunch of cards on the wall. And my imagination ran wild with like, what is this what are these characters? What do these cards do? But I was too young to even afford to play this game, or probably too young to even understand the game. But one picture, out of all the pictures on the wall, more than iconic cards like Ancestral Recall or Black Lotus, one picture that always stuck in my mind, the earliest image of Magic the Gathering that I have was Howl from Beyond, a common card, black, for Magic the Gathering. I think it's probably the reason why when I play Magic, I like black cards. For people who don't know, there's like 5 colors here, and each of the colors kind of represents a different tribe or mentality in Magic the Gathering with their own unique ways to win, their focuses on how to win. Black was more about death and hurting yourself to defeat your opponent. And I always gravitated to black, and I think it's because of this card, Howl from Beyond. The artist on this is Mark Poole, and he is one of the most renowned, iconic Magic the Gathering artists out there. For me, even more than Christopher Rush, who was the guy who made the most arguably iconic Magic the Gathering card, Black Lotus. To me, this is more iconic and more relevant to me, Howl from Beyond. So the first auction that I won, I think, or one of the first 3, was this card, a 93 Howl from Beyond, graded 9. And I remember I said, you know what, if I don't win this one, I want to get one for sure. So I put a max bid on this one, I think of like $12, and I luckily just, that was all I needed. From 1993, unlimited. And the second last auction that this seller had was this card. And this was the one I really wanted to get, Alpha. From 1993, the first set of Magic the Gathering cards that ever was produced. I guess aside from the test kits, or the test cards, what more fitting way to kind of begin my collection with than to get the card that meant the most to me growing up, the earliest memory I have of Magic the Gathering. And to me, even this is a point of connection to a really early memory of my mom and myself at the mall. You know, so yeah, this card, very happy to have it in the collection. It graded 8, near mint. Mint. You know, really hard to keep these original cards in high quality, because like when people played it, no one thought about collecting these. Look how dark that is. That's so dark. And that is it. That is my story of why and how I started collecting Magic the Gathering. So my plan is to just, I don't want to keep these in binders. Obviously I can't with these graded cards. I want to keep them in this nice little box, keep them on my desk where I can always kind of grab them and look at them and use them to keep myself motivated. But what's next? What's coming in the Magic the Gathering world? Will I buy more cards? I think I have more coming in the mail. And I'll share them with you if they are significant. But like I said, I'm getting a lot of cheap cards. Maybe we'll open up some Fleer baseball cards, ladies and gentlemen. Who wants to see some 1990 Fleer? Huh? Look at that. With logo stickers. This is a worthless... Actually, not worthless. I'm not going to say that. Sammy Sosa rookie card is in here. The Canadian releases of Fleer baseball cards. A lot less of them, a lot more uncommon. So these cards technically are more, I guess, in terms of value, more expensive than their American counterparts. Maybe we'll open them. Maybe I'll sell them on generationretro.ca. Cheap plug. Thank you very much for joining me. Check out generationretro.ca if you want to support the channel. And yeah, subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, guys. Let me know in the comments below if this is something you're into. Nate from Thrift Dweller, DK all day. Peace. Take care of yourselves.